The room was silent. Cameras rolled, but what happened next was not meant to be scripted. A rising voice from the U.S. pierced through the tense atmosphere. Words so sharp, so heavy with truth, they cut deeper than any speech delivered on that global stage. Across the aisle, President Ibrahim Traoré, a man celebrated for his unshakable resolve, faltered. His eyes glistened, his composure cracked, and in that single moment, the world witnessed something no one expected. What could Jasmine Crockett have said to unravel the iron will of a revolutionary leader? And why did America itself tremble at her words? To understand the gravity of this moment, one must first know the figures at its center. Jasmine Crockett, a U.S. Congresswoman known for her fearless voice, has become a symbol of resistance against injustice, speaking truths that few dare to utter on public stages. Her rise has been meteoric, fueled by passion, unflinching conviction, and a refusal to bow to the pressure of political norms. Opposite her stood President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, a leader whose name has grown synonymous with defiance. At just 34 years old, he represents a new wave of African leadership. Young, bold, and unyielding in his stance against Western exploitation and the lingering shadows of colonial influence. His speeches, fiery and uncompromising, have made him both admired and feared. So when the paths of these two figures crossed, the stakes could not have been higher. Crockett brought with her the weight of America's fractured conscience, a nation grappling with racial inequities and political turmoil. Traoré carried the scars of his people, centuries of struggle against oppression, poverty, and the exploitation of African lands. This was not just another political exchange. It was a collision of histories, of pain and defiance carried across continents compressed into one encounter. The world leaned in, sensing that something powerful was about to erupt. But no one could have predicted how one sentence, delivered in a steady, unwavering voice, would change the tone of the room and leave a president undone. The event was meant to symbolize dialogue between nations, a rare chance for leaders to confront uncomfortable truths. Yet beneath the polished speeches and formal gestures lay currents of tension that could not be hidden. America's role in Africa has long been marked by contradictions, aid offered with one hand, exploitation delivered with the other. For Traoré, those contradictions were not theoretical. They were lived realities for millions of his people. He had stood at podiums before, chastising foreign leaders for their hypocrisy, daring to call out the system of dependency that keeps Africa chained. And each time his fiery words drew applause from his allies and cold stares from his critics. But this time, the words that struck were not his. Jasmine Crockett stepped forward, her voice carrying both the authority of her office and the pain of her people. She spoke of injustice, not only within America's borders, where systemic racism still corrodes the promise of equality, but also in the corridors of international power, where the same patterns of oppression repeat themselves on a global scale. Her words did not target Traoré directly. Instead, they mirrored his struggle, reflecting back to him the same wounds carried by those in America's marginalized communities. She spoke of how the weight of oppression is universal, how the fight for dignity in Ferguson echoes the cry for freedom in Ouagadougou, and with each sentence the tension grew. The cameras caught the unease on faces in the audience, diplomats shifting in their seats, journalists scribbling furiously. The moment was no longer about politics, it was about humanity itself. Crockett's voice, steady yet charged with emotion, stripped away the layers of diplomacy and revealed the raw truth. Injustice, whether in Africa or America, bears the same scars. For Traoré, who had built his image as an unbreakable revolutionary, this was not an attack. It was a mirror held before him, and for the first time, the world saw the vulnerability beneath his unyielding armor. Then it happened. A single line, delivered without hesitation, cut through the air like a blade, a sentence so powerful it refused to be ignored. Crockett spoke of the universal pain carried by oppressed people, how history has a way of binding the struggles of the silenced together across oceans and centuries. In that instant, silence filled the room. The sound of her voice hung heavy, echoing like a bell in a cathedral. Traoré, the young president who had weathered coups, threats, and endless scrutiny, lowered his gaze. His lips pressed tightly as he fought for composure. But the fight was brief. His shoulders trembled, and the glint of moisture at the corner of his eye revealed what words alone could not hide. The cameras captured it. The world saw it. A man celebrated for his unshakable will was moved to tears, not by weakness but by recognition. Recognition that his fight, though vast, was shared. Crockett's sentence did not diminish him. It connected him to a broader struggle, one that transcended borders and colors, binding together voices of resistance from Harlem to Ouagadougou. For viewers, the moment was breathtaking. Social media erupted in real time, some stunned by the vulnerability shown, others inspired by the truth spoken aloud. It was the climax of a political drama that no one had scripted but everyone would remember. The aftermath was as profound as the moment itself. The room, once charged with formal tension, now carried a palpable weight of reflection. Traoré, regaining his composure, did not respond with defiance but with silence, a silence that spoke louder than any rebuttal. It was an acknowledgement not of defeat, but of shared humanity. Crockett's words reverberated far beyond that chamber. Commentators across the U.S. debated the significance. Some framed it as a rare display of American moral courage, others as an uncomfortable reminder of the truths America itself continues to ignore. In Africa, many saw it as solidarity, a bridge built between struggles too often seen as separate. But the deeper impact lay not in headlines or political spin. It lay in the realization that power, no matter how formidable, cannot shield the human heart from truth. Crockett's sentence exposed a universal reality, that oppression anywhere is connected to oppression everywhere, and that the tears shed by a leader are not a weakness, but a testament to the weight of history carried on his shoulders. For viewers who watched, the moment lingered long after the screen went dark. It raised questions that could not be easily dismissed. If one sentence could move a president to tears, what does that say about the truths we choose to ignore? How many more leaders, how many more nations are bound by the same unspoken struggles? And perhaps most importantly, when will we finally confront them, together? The power of that moment will not fade. It stands as a reminder that even in the harsh arena of politics, humanity can break through, raw, unfiltered, and undeniable.